is only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We got a cool video for you guys today. It's going to be for all of our Chaos Space Marine players out there in 40k that are trying to get in the competitive scene or just pick up Chaos Space Marines in general. If you guys are new to the channel, thanks for clicking on the video. We do a lot of competitive battle reports, tactics, suggestions, anything you guys want to see on YouTube. But when it comes to 40k, that's what this whole channel is about, beer and 40k, and kind of getting everybody better at the competitive scene. If you guys are a part of the Dirtbag Nation, my Patreons, thank you so much. Continue doing this for you guys and kind of growing the Dirtbag Nation as much as possible. If you guys are new, there's a Discord. You guys can click on the link below, and also give suggestions if you guys want to join the Dirtbag Nation on Patreon. If you want to get it more into the competitive scene, $10 a month is a competitive dirtbag, $25 a month is a Grandmaster dirtbag, where you actually get to give suggestions on battle reports you want to see live. You can chat with me one-on-one through calls on Discord. And competitive, we go over tactics, ideas, lists, comparisons, all that stuff, one-on-one in Discord as well. So all these videos come out on Patreon first as well. But besides all that, let's get into the video. We're going to go over this video, each mark for Chaos Space Marines, the dark packs, what's going to benefit you the most, how your play style is going to be, and really my suggestions on how to get better and kind of create a list for Chaos Space Marines using these marks to your advantage. I explained this once to one of my dirtbags in Discord, and it just popped in my head that this would be such a good idea to share across YouTube so you guys kind of know what you're looking to do with your specific list with each specific mark. So that's going to be the whole video. Today we're going to go over as much as I possibly can and make it as quick and seamless as possible for you guys. So let's get into it. First off, we have the army rule here, which is the Dark Pact. If you guys, you already know what Chaos Space Marine does, but the Dark Pacts, basically you pick to use one of these during anytime you shoot or fight, and this could be used in Overwatch as well. So you can't use abilities out of phase when you're doing stuff. So if it says in your shooting phase and you're trying to do Overwatch, for example, you won't be able to do it. But if you're shooting Overwatch and you have an ability that says anytime this unit shoots or anytime this unit fights, you're able to do a Dark Pact, which is what this is. You're able to do Dark Pacts even out of phase. That goes for Abaddon's full rerolls. That goes for the Hellbrute abilities to get both of the Dark Packs, lethal and sustain. So that's what makes it so good in Chaos Space Marines, is you basically can always do it. Yes, there is a downside where you might suffer D3 mortal wounds, which could kill you or kill your guys, but it's a really good trade because you're always going to have lethal hits or always have sustain hits on every single army or unit in Chaos Space Marine. So this even works for Cultists. Before, Cultists didn't have the rules, and now they have fucking Dark Pact, which is insane. So if your faction is Heretic Astartes, each time a unit with this ability is shoot or fight, you make a Dark Pact. So you get to choose lethal hits or sustain hits. If you have a Hellbrute within 6 inches of you, you get both, which is also a benefit. That's after you do a leadership. Now, some people don't know when this goes off, but it says each time a unit makes a Dark Pact after it has resolved its attack. So basically you do all of the attacks, and then at the end, once you're done resolving your attacks, you roll a leadership test. If it's failed, you take D3 mortals. If it's passed, nothing happens. So you don't do it beforehand, you don't kill you guys beforehand, you do it after the fact of doing the attacks. So that's the first thing. Then let's go over what the benefits are of the mark. So this is the main point of the video, is each mark has its own benefit, and we're going to go over each and every one and which one I would suggest doing for each unit. We're going to go through the units and my suggestions on what's been working for me to get to the #1 Chaos Space Marine player in the world right now. As of this video, hopefully LVO we get to #1 above that World Eater player. So look out, we're coming for you. But Mark of Chaos. So each unit in your army gets to have a mark. No matter what unit it is, you get to pick, or you have to pick a mark essentially, but you get to pick Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, or Undivided. Undivided is also a very, very good one to have. So even if you don't have a mark, you could still have a really good tactic to it. So let's go over each and every one. Now, epic heroes have their own marks. So some of them you can't pick a specific mark. Like example, Abaddon has all of the marks. So whatever unit he joins also gains that leader's marks. And he can't join a unit unless it has the same mark as them. So the Harkon World Eater dude, the jump pack guy, he's undivided. So he can only join a Raptor unit that's undivided. You can't join a Khorne with an undivided. It has to be both the same mark. If you have a character like a Master of Execution and you want it to be Khorne, it has to join a unit that is also Khorne. So that's just to give you an example. So Khorne for this is called Blood Fury. In the fight phase specifically, if this unit's weapons gained the lethal hits, you have to specifically choose lethal hits. You get to crit on a 5 to wound. So that means anytime you're charging a unit in the fight phase, you get to do a Dark Pact, and then all of your hits get to crit on 5s, which means you auto wound on 5s. That's really good for specific units like Chosen or even Cultists or anything like that. Like, you know you're going to get in combat and you know you just want to go in and try to wound anything on a 5 up, especially hard to wound vehicles. Khorne is going to be the way to go. Tzeentch, now I don't use Tzeentch a lot. There's not a lot of people in my meta that use Tzeentch. Tzeentch would be good for an example, Obliterators. So Obliterators, they just have a shit ton of attacks. You get to have lethal hits on the shooting phase on a 5+. So you could put this on a unit of Cultists as well with all of their regular weapons. Just being able to hit, they auto wound on 5s. Now, a good thing to combine with the Tzeentch is the 1 CP strat that you get to bring a guy back in, I believe, the command phase. So if you have a unit of 4 Obliterators and they're all Tzeentch, they can come down, shoot a ton, auto wound on 5s, and then if one of them happen to die, you can spend 1 CP to bring a full, healthy Obliterator back onto the table, which is so worth 1 CP. So that's something that I haven't really tried out yet, but that was my thought when this first came out, is I could just have a ton of Tzeentch units with Obliterators on the table and then just kind of make one back, or Terminators with Abaddon's unit. You can spend 1 CP to bring that Terminator unit back. So that's for the lethal hits. Lethal hits could be good for Venom Crawlers as well, because they shoot really far. They're not as high strength as Obliterators or Forge Fiends, but at least you get to crit anything on a 5+ with Tzeentch. So you have like 12 shots, so it's a ton of shots, and auto critting on 5s or auto wounding on 5s in the shooting phase with full rerolls from Abaddon. So if you have kind of like full rerolls from Abaddon, three Venom Crawlers right around you, they're all rolling 5s, full rerolls, and they're just all critting. Now that's one example. The best one I think in this thing is Nurgle. Nurgle is sustain hits, meaning you explode on a crit. So instead of auto wounding, you'll explode on a 5+. Now, if you're running Forge Fiends or Venom Crawlers or Obliterators and they're all Nurgle, having them near Abaddon with the full rerolls within 6 inches, they're all just exploding on 5s. So imagine hitting on 3s and rerolling all the 1s and 2s and then exploding on 5s. That is really, really good in this meta. That's really good for Chaos Space Marine. Forge Fiends are just kind of busted with this Nurgle Marc, because you Dark Pact, it's Nurgle, and then you roll 3d3 plus blast. So it's like you're shooting a 10-man squad. You're getting a minimum 2, 4, 6 shots plus 3 more. That's 9. So minimum 9 to 15 shots minimum, and then the explosions happen. So let's just say you start with 9 shots. So 9 shots go in, you hit on 3s, you have, let's say, 3 explodes, and then you re-roll, and then you have 3 more explodes. So that's an additional 6 hits on top of the 9, and let's say you hit all the other ones. Now you're back up to fucking 15 again hits. Terminators going against them, their toughness 5, your strength 10, you're wounding them on 2s. So you don't even care about the auto wounding. You just want to get as many shots into that unit as possible. So let's say you wound, I don't know, 12 out of 15 times. Let's say you get 3 1s. Now that unit has to make 12 4-up invuln saves, or they just die. That's not even including the devastating wounds. That's a completely different topic. But Nurgle, I think, honestly, is one of the best ones to do it. I have almost every unit in my army that is shooting or doesn't want to get shot back as Nurgle. If you run Abaddon, you run a kind of gunline list, Nurgle is the best way to do it, especially with Obliterators, because when they deep strike, they can deep strike within 6 inches of Abaddon, shoot then 24 inches with all of their guns, even out of line of sight if you really want to do that, and then they get full rerolls exploding on 5s. So they're just going to nuke whatever the fuck they touch. They're melters are 4 damage, 6 if you're within 12. So they're just going to just delete whatever they want on the table. And especially with Nurgle, they get to explode on 5s. So that is honestly probably one of the best ones to do it. Now, there's other defensive purposes to Nurgle as well. Forge Fiends, again, they could explode on 5s, but also there's a 1 CP strat with Nurgle that you don't get shot outside of 12 inches. That's what makes it really busted, is... yes, it's very offensive, but it's also very, very defensive as well. I put Nurgle on all of my cultists, my regular basic cultists, because they have the sticky objective, and usually you're starting them on the objective turn 1 to make it sticky, so that way they do their job. They're worth 50 points just to do that. And if somebody's trying to shoot your sticky objective targets turn 1, you could just spend 1 CP and make them non-targetable outside 12 inches. So basically, on your turn, you're able to make that target sticky for you automatically. It's well worth a CP. Nurgle's going to be great for Forge Fiends, kind of stepping out to shoot something, a tank, and then it doesn't get shot in return because you spend 1 CP. Obliterators, same exact thing. They shoot 24 inches away, nuke whatever they want to nuke, and if they try to shoot them back, Nurgle. Abaddon, same exact thing. 10 Terminators in the center, shoot something, can't be shot back. So Nurgle is very, very good for Chaos Space Marines, not only with the +5 critting, but also not being shot at. So lastly, we have Slaanesh. Slaanesh is also very good for melee aside the Khorne. What gives Slaanesh a little bit of an advantage is the advance and charge. So in the fight phase, when this unit gains sustained hits, which is the exploding, you can then explode on 5s. This came up really good recently when Warp Talons got a huge point buff where they went down to 100 points. So they have, I believe, 4 attacks each, strength 5 for some reason. So 4 attacks each, hitting on 3s, but if they're Slaanesh, they move 12, they can advance, spend 1 CP, and now they're able to charge because they're Slaanesh. That's the 1 CP strat. But when they actually get into combat, you're hitting on 3s. Let's say you get, I don't know, 20 attacks. Let's say 7 of them explode, or let's say 5 of them explode. So 5 of them explode. Now you're up to 25 attacks. You miss, I don't know, 5 more times. So now you're back up to 20. So 20 hits with this, and then full rerolls to wound strength 5. So it just makes it so much easier to kill whatever you're trying to go into, mainly infantry with the Warp Talons. But the exploding on 5s, if you have a reroll like Abaddon or something like that, they're just going to get so many attacks coming in. So this is great for if you want to do a Slaanesh. What the hell? I haven't run them in a while. The possessed guys. So Slaanesh possessed, they get to advance and charge with the Master of Possession. They get to advance, explode on 5s, and then just fucking do all the devastating ones as well. Now that's the Slaanesh with the advance and charge strat. So Slaanesh is being able to explode on 5s. Finally, probably my second favorite one is the Undivided. So Undivided is each time models in this unit makes an attack, reroll the hit roll of 1. So that's just built in. So you don't even have to get abilities. The main thing why you're bringing this is because they have a 1 CP strat to give full rerolls to hit. Not only that, but to wound as well. So this is probably best used with a Forge Fiend, Undivided, so that way they don't have to be near Abaddon. Obliterators, Undivided, so again, they don't have to be near Abaddon. Or a Cursed Cultist, so that way they can use their own buffs. For me, it's advance and charge, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and then 1 CP, they get full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound. And you still get to pick the Dark Pact, which is either lethal or sustained. Now, they don't get the bonus of critting on a 5, but they still explode or auto wound on 6s. So if you're going into huge tanks, you might want to get the auto wounding on 6s because you get full rerolls to hit and you're hitting on 3s. Or if you're going into just a ton of Marines or a ton of strength, let's say 5 or strength 6 or higher, you're going to get +1 to wound, so you're wounding on 5s or 4s. If you're going into basic infantry, you're wounding them on 2s. So I've had 6 of my big Accursed Cultists mow down 2 or 3 units of Marines in one go around. I've killed Terminators with the Accursed Cultist unit just because they're strength 5, so you're wounding them on 4s, and then with your +1 to wound, you're wounding them on 3s with all of the attacks. They have D6 +2 attacks base, and you're getting full rerolls to hit with exploding 6s, and then wounding on 3s with full rerolls to wound. It is insane how much this unit kills. So that is my favorite unit to use Undivided on. Undivided could also be good for the shooting phase as well, because you could use that 1 TP strat to shooting or melee phase, both phases. So with the Forge Fiends, I know Mike uses the autocannon Forge Fiend now, so it has 6 shots each from its autocannons, and now it has 12 shots because there's 2 of them. It also has the ectoplasma in its mouth, so basically you have 12 shots going in, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound, and 6s explode. So you're basically rolling all the dice, hitting on 3s, 6s do some explosions, full rerolls trying to fish for the 6s, and then it has devastating wounds built in with the Forge Fiend. So then you're just trying to roll for the 6s to fish for crits to wound. That's because of the Undivided strat. So Undivided with Forge Fiends, because the devastating wound, is insane. The second best unit to use that on would be, if you run the Possessed, is the Possessed Squad. 5-man Possessed Squad, 10-man Possessed Squad, whatever it may be. They basically get full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound. You're not really going to use this on the Warp Towns just because they already have full rerolls to wound, so they're already built into that. But with the devastating wounds for the Possessed, they're devastating wounds with 2 damage weapons. So you're going to run in, hit on 3s, explode on 6s with a shit ton of attacks, and then I think it's strength 5 -1 2 damage. So they're going to wound most things on 3s to 4s, but devastating wounds. So all these devastating wounds are just going to go through with the 6s, full rerolls to wound. So that is why you're going to be running Undivided for that instance, is for that one specific strat, and you just have built-in reroll 1s to wounds. But if you're mainly just going for defensive route, that's going to be the Nurgle. If you're going for more offensive and you want to use that strat, go for the Undivided. If you want to get advance and charges, go with the Slanesh. If you want to just kind of get out of a Rhino, mainly Chosen is on my mind. Chosen can advance and charge still. And the combo with the Master of Execution, they get full rerolls to hit if that target is wounded by 1 wound. So if they're not at starting strength, so against a vehicle, they get full rerolls to hit. If that unit either killed a guy or has 1 wound on it, it gets full rerolls to hit. So combining with a Master of Execution with a Chosen Squad, they already advance and charge, and they get full rerolls to hit. So you're auto wounding on 5s with Khorne. So that would probably be the best Khorne target with this stratagem. And obviously having Abaddon and his full unit, they get all of these. So whatever one you do, you get all that. Now, the combo with this, guys, is if you really want to run a Hellbrute, the Hellbrute lets you get both. Now, the wording for both, you have to look at the crit wording, but each time a unit makes a Dark Pact after it is resolved. All right, so not that one. So let's go to the Hellbrute. I'll look up the Hellbrute real quick, because that specifically says you get both lethal and sustain on a crit. So this says, while friendly Heretic Stars unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of phase, its weapons gain both. So the weapon gains both lethal and sustain. So the weapon, again, gains both. So since Dark Pact wording is that you crit on that. So this one says, each time you enter a keyword, Dark Pact is associated with blah, blah. So let's say Nurgle. In the shooting phase, if this unit's weapons gain the sustained hits, which it did in this phase, the result of Dark Pact, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of a 5 scores a critical hit. And when you look up critical hit, the sustain and lethal both crit on a hit. So that's how you're able to get both if you have the Dark Pact, Nurgle, Hellbrute combo. So if you're running Forge Fiends and you have Nurgle and you roll 5s to crit, you also auto wound on that 5, which is insane. So you're basically shooting 3d3 plus 3 shots, or 3d3 plus blast, hitting on 5s, but every 5 that you get automatically wounds. So basically you don't explode it, you keep the dice that you have, but then you set extra dice to the side because it automatically wounded already. and then you roll again. If you have, Abaddon or whatever, any more 5s, you just kind of put aside, and then you re-roll all the wounds in front of you for wounding, and then boom, you have all of those freaking wounds at the same time. So it is such a good combo with Nurgle auto hitting, auto wounding, auto wounding and exploding on 5s with that. So it works in combat as well. But yeah, it's just a very, very good combo. So let's go over some ideas. Here's some of the stratagems. So mainly you're going to have this one, which is the corn. You're not really going you don't really use that. That's just for fight on death. But you have this one, which is if you're undivided, you get the full rerolls to hit and wound. If you are Tzeentch, you get to bring a guy back. If you're a Tzeentch character, Nurgle. If you're Nurgle, you can't be shot outside 12 inches. And then Slaanesh, until the end, you're able to shoot and declare a charge in which you advanced. So those are the specific marks that you'll need if you want to do those specific stratagems. Also, there's some cool enhancements that you can do, but mainly we're just talking about the marks. So Abaddon has all of them. Most of the epic characters have their own marks, so you can kind of skip over those. We can go to the people that you can bring marks with. So if you wanted to go with, let's say, the Master Possession, you can give the unit Slaanesh, so that way him and the Possessed can advance and charge. A good combo for the Lord is the Undivided strat, just so that way you can get full rerolls to hit and wound or for free with him. So if he's Undivided, let's say Chosen or somebody else, they get to do a free strat, which is the full rerolls to hit and wound. So him being Undivided is very good. Then we have, I love the Solo Sorcerer. So Solo Sorcerer in Nurgle, just because of defensive strat. So him coming down, rolling a 2+, anything that targets that unit gets to +1 to the AP against that target. And he has the Chaos Familiar, which once per battle round, or once per battle, you can change the damage characteristic to 0. So you have that, and only spending 1 CP if it's Nurgle to not be shot outside 12 inches. So it almost gives him Lone Operative, which is great for a solo character. So that's why having the Nurgle on a specific unit is very, very good. Then let's get into some units. So the Dark Commune, 100% I think should be Undivided. My list now with 3 Dark Communes, 3 Cursed Cultists, all Undivided, so that way they already gain advance and charge because of Dark Commune once per game. They get +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and if you're Undivided, you spend 1 CP, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound, and without the 1 CP spent, and you just Dark Pact, you still get full reroll 1s to hit anyway. So it's already built in Undivided strat. Legionnaires aren't really run. I only run them with Abaddon. You have Cultist Blob. We already went over. Nurgle is probably the best way to do the Cultist mob, so that way they can't be shot outside of 12. There's been so many times where you want to shoot these guys, but you can't because they're fucking Nurgle. So they're doing their job by getting sticky objectives. Cursed Cultists already went over. Undivided. Terminators, put them with either a Lord or which is Undivided, so that way you can do the free strats, or put them with Abaddon, which they get all the marks. This is the guy, Master of Execution. While it's leading a unit, so like Chosen, makes a melee attack that targets a unit below starting strength, so just took 1 wound or killed a guy, you can reroll all hit rolls. So if it's below half strength, you can reroll all wound rolls as well. But since it's already giving me rerolls to hit, a good combo with this is the Slaanesh or Khorne. Slaanesh, because you get exploding on 5s, or Khorne to get auto wounding on 5s. Now, if you're going to combine it with the Chosen, this unit's eligible to shoot and declare a charge in which advance. So you don't need that 1 CP strat to advance and charge with the Slaanesh. So this unit's going to be Khorne or Undivided. Most of the time I run mine with Khorne because I'm getting them out of the Rhino, advancing and then charging, or shooting and then charging my already wounded target to get full rerolls to hit with the Master of Execution. So that's a very good ability with them. Then these guys already have the Slaanesh because they're Noise Marines. But Bikers, let's go over Bikers real quick. Bikers, I think Nurgle is the best strat for them. they're mainly used for secondaries. So being able to go off of the table within 6 inches and just stay in strategic reserve until you need them. Let's flip over secondary. If I didn't get a good secondary, I need them. Great, they're staying off the table. If I need them, they're coming on and doing action. And if they're Nurgle, they could be all the way in the corner doing an action. If they try to shoot them, you spend 1 CP. Now they can't be shot outside 12 inches. Sometimes I use mine offensively. I put mine with 3 fucking plasma guns. So 2 plasma gun, 1 plasma pistol. They come within 12 inches of a unit. And then they just fucking dark pact, hazardous, do everything. They explode on 5s with Nurgle. So you're shooting 5 times, let's say hitting on 3s, 2 or 3 explode, and then strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage. Like that's going to kill half a unit of Marines, which has happened in plenty of games. So yes, they take hazardous, but who the hell cares? You killed a bunch to get their points back. They're OPSEC 2 for some reason. That is amazing. And they have 3 wounds, toughness 5. So really, really good unit for Nurgle. That Nurgle, I think, would be the best one for bikers. Raptors, not my favorite. Undivided, I think, would be the best way. Put either plasma or melt on them and just fucking throw them forward. Run them with Harkin. I think that's the best way to do it. These guys, I think Slanesh are the best way to run them, just because they get advance and charge. They're already speed 12, so they can hop down or rapid ingress behind a wall. Next turn, move up if you're outside. If they're too far away from 12 inches, just advance. And then with the stratagem, you can roll to see what you get, and then choose if you're going to advance and charge. That's a good tactic as well. If you don't get a high enough advance roll, don't waste the CP. Just keep them behind the wall. If you roll 6, you're like, all right, we're going in, boys. Advance fucking, 18 inches and then charge for 1 CP. Well worth it. Havocs, I haven't used a ton of Havocs, but Havocs I think would be Nurgle. So you put them up on top of the wall, down from 6 inches of Abaddon. So Abaddon, you measure from the head to the model. So basically, you measure, it's within 6 inches. They get full rerolls, exploding on 5s. If they're within 6 inches of a Hellbrute, they get full rerolls to hit, exploding on 5s, auto wounding on 5s. So Nurgle, and if they be shot at, can't be shot because it's outside of 12 inches. And if they're 6 inches above the ground, they're going to get plunging fire. So all of their weapons, just add 1 extra AP to that, and that's what's going to make them so good. So Nurgle, I think, would be the best way for the Havocs. Obliterators, completely your call. A lot of people run them Nurgle for the exploding 5s with Abaddon. Undivided, if you're not going to keep them near Abaddon or use the rerolls. Sometimes Abaddon uses the 4 Binbone, especially with the Cursed Cultist units. But Obliterators, really, really good with Nurgle. They cannot be shot outside 12 inches, and they explode on 5s, just base. So Nurgle, I think, would be really good. A good test, guys, is the Tzeentch one. Again, bringing a fucking toughness 7 5 wound model back for 1 CP and getting the extra thread or extra inches for movement. That's going to be really scary as well. So Tzeentch, Nurgle will be number 1, or then Undivided, and then Tzeentch. Now, any tank you have, probably 99% of the time it's going to be Nurgle. The only argument is Forge Fiends. So Nurgle for all these, because they're probably going to be near Abaddon, or mainly they're going to be transporting something that you want to get into combat. So example, a unit of Chosen inside of a Rhino or a Land Raider, they basically get to not get shot outside 12 inches. So they have a ton of tanks on the other side, or big Knights. They can't shoot the Rhino or Land Raider outside 12 inches. And if you have a Land Raider, it can actually shoot back and do a shit ton of damage. So imagine 4 side cannons, full rerolls to hit, exploding on 5s, shooting at something, so you're going to get a ton of hits, strength 12, so it's going to kill something, and then it can't be shot in return. So Land Raiders, very, very good with Nurgle. Rhinos, very, very good with Nurgle, just because whatever's inside is going to be able to at least get to where it's trying to go and deliver its payload with Nurgle. Forge Fiends, again, up to you. Some people now are testing the Hades autocannon. It's basically 12 shots, hitting on 3s, strength 8, AP 1, 2 damage, but you're basically doing it for devastating wounds. So you're basically just trying to get as many 6s as possible. So Undivided, very good if you're running the Hades autocannon. Nurgle, if you're running 3 blast weapons and you're within 6 inches of Abaddon. So Nurgle, again, you can't be shot back. That's the defensive strat, and you explode on 5s to shooting. Hellbrute, I would go Nurgle because you're trying to keep him alive as long as possible. So you want him to use his 6-inch aura bubble. So basically, you want him to stay alive. So that Nurgle strat is going to be very good and defensive. Also, he can shoot back if you really want to. I'm just going to keep him behind a wall almost 4 turns of the game, just so he can give the aura of crit and explode on 5s. Then everything else I don't really have a lot of experience into. Helldrake, probably go with Slaanesh just for the crits, because he has devastating wounds already. So anything with devastating wounds, you don't want to auto wound. That would be my suggestion. But anti-fly 2+ with devastating wounds. But yeah, so I think the Slaanesh should be really good for that one. Or the Undivided because of the devastating wounds. So you get full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. But the Slaanesh, you just automatically crit on 5s, and then you auto wound on 2s with devastating wounds with flying. So Forge Fiend or Maula Fiend, same exact thing. Slaanesh or Undivided. Rhino, Nurgle, these guys I haven't run yet, but Nurgle maybe just their secondary units, and that's basically mainly what we're using in Chaos Space Marine player now. So that is, guys, hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully this explained to you what you're really looking for and trying to do. Now, I guess I can explain to you the list type of this. So when you guys are building your lists, you're trying to make your list dependent on what mark you want to do it with. Now, for example, my list, my 2 bike units, Nurgles, because they're specifically there for secondaries. My Accursed Cultist units are there for killing and holding objectives. So another suggestion is if you want just one Accursed Cultist unit, just to kind of sit there on objective and just be a bully on the objective, you can make it Nurgle. If you're not planning on them running into the fray and killing stuff, just make it Nurgle so it could sit on a side objective and just be there for the rest of the game, because then they can't shoot outside of 12. If they do come within 12, you can then advance and charge it. So Nurgle on them if you're not planning on doing a lot of work with them, and then you just want them to sit on the objective and camp it. Cultists, always Nurgle. The Forge Fiends, for me specifically, I have 2 Forge Fiends in my list. They're going to be Nurgle, just because if I need to walk them on from the table edge and just try and get exploding on 5s by themselves, because I don't run rerolls with Abaddon, I run 4-up invuln save for my Accursed Cultists. So that's mainly because I want to be super annoying with the Accursed Cultists and Abaddon rather than my Forge Fiends trying to do all the heavy lifting. So the Forge Fiends come on the side and can explode on 5s to try and get more hits, and then they most of the time wound on 2s anyway against infantry. Vehicles, they're not really going too hard into vehicles, but they wound on 5s most of the time with vehicles. So that is what I'm specifically using the Forge Fiends for. Now, units, there's a lot of lists that want to test out like Chosen, stuff like that. I already told you my main thing is Coenen with them, because you just get a shit ton of attacks going in, AP2, auto wounding on 5s, and full rerolls to hit. So basically imagining running 40 attacks, 3s to hit unless you run the captain, then it's 2s to hit, but full rerolls exploding on 5. So 33% of that 40 is going to be auto wounding, and then you reroll the rest of them, which is now going to be another 33% of that auto wounding. And then you're going to wound again after that, which is probably like 5s or 6s anyway. But still, that's a shit ton of automatically AP2 attacks going into whatever you're trying to take down, which is probably going to nuke whatever it touches. So I don't run Tzeentch too often. Slaanesh, I don't run Tzeentch or Slaanesh too often just because of whatchamacallit. Warp Talons, I haven't run them yet, but Mike is 100% in on the Warp Talons, and Slaanesh is his best go. And then Undivided is for anything that you want to just have basic reroll 1s to hit automatically, and use that 1 CP strat for full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. So whatever strat you're planning to use per unit is how you're going to put the marks on your units. That's the mindset building a list, not just randomly picking the whatever mark you think is best. It's mainly where you're going to use them in the army. If my guys are going to be near Abaddon most of the game, like Obliterators, Forge Fiends, they're probably going to get the Nurgle strat, so that way they can just kind of camp out, not be shot outside 12, and get full rerolls to hit exploding on 5s, because most of their guns are strength 10 or strength 12, so they're going to wound a lot of shit on 2s or 3s. And then Coen if you want to be super gung-ho and get people into combat, and the Slanesh if you want to be super fast and advance and charge in combat. So again, hopefully this helped you out, guys. I know I wanted to do this for a while, but if you use these strategies and tactics of this channel, of the Dirtbags, you will grow better in 40k. Stay tuned for a ton more tactical videos. Again, all these come up on Patreon first. We are going to LVO, so if you guys are going to LVO or are interested in LVO, it's definitely a fun time. Head out there, say hi to me, get a shit ton of games, and you get to meet people all over the world, which is really cool, and you get the most points for ITC battles at LVO, just to let you know. But I will be playing Chaos Space Marine player at LVO, representing you guys, and Patreons, you guys are fucking awesome. Head over there if you guys want to support the channel. A lot of shit to go through, a lot of videos we're making in the next couple days. We have a wedding coming up, so that's going to be in 30 days from now. Holy shit. And then honeymoon, so I'm trying to make as many videos as possible before the honeymoon, so you guys don't get miss Dirtbags uploading videos on YouTube. So appreciate it, guys. Good luck with everything, and we'll see you in another video soon.